Hey YouTube, welcome back to another video. It is Monday morning and it's about 8:30. I'm headed home from McDonald's from getting some breakfast. And yeah, I got a notification to approve my check from last week from Turner Roofing. And yeah, so I approved my check, and then I got a notification saying that my check changed and that they removed hours. And so I called my boss and asked him what was going on, why they removed hours. And so he went and looked at it and he was like, I'm still showing the same hours. So I was like, all right, I just wanted to double check. And but yeah, essentially after a couple of days, me not being there Friday, because I quit on Thursday and I wasn't there Friday, and I was off, I wasn't there for the weekend, which we're normally off on the weekend. So, but I know, yeah, my boss wants me to come back. So, I don't know, he said he's going to call me later this afternoon. So, I don't know, I guess I might still have my job working at Turner. I really don't know at this time. So, but that's how it goes sometimes. So I don't know, hopefully my boss can, or my ex-boss, I don't know, hopefully they realize how much I actually do for the company and how hard I do work and how much shit gets done. Because I know I woke up one day last week, or the week before, I woke up late and I missed one day. And not the boss I just talked to, but his assistant, his helper, I guess, he told me that I was fired. So I just was like, okay, I'm fired. And then later on that same day, he called me back and said, well, they left it up to me, so if you want to work here, you can. If not, whatever, you're fired. So I was like, yeah, I want to work there. Like, I just woke up late. I wasn't trying to miss the whole day. And I just woke up and I called you because I'm supposed to call you if I'm going to be late or, anything. I'm supposed to call you, so I called you. And you said I was fired, so I just stayed home. I didn't bother driving to the job because you said I was fired. So, yeah, after all that situation, I was like, yeah, I still want to work there. I just woke up late. So he's like, all right, be here tomorrow morning. So I went back to work that following day, which was a Wednesday. I missed a Tuesday, okay? So, went back to work that following day. And, yeah, none of the other guys, there's 6 or 7 guys total on our crew, and all the other guys were there and they got nothing done all day long. Nobody knew how to do anything. Like, they got nothing done. So whenever I came back the following day, we got a bunch of shit done for the whole week. Like, we got stuff done every day. We made good progress. And then I quit on Thursday of last week, and I guess they got nothing done on Friday either. So I'm guessing my boss, or ex-boss, they're seeing how much that me being there does help the company, and they are way more productive because I actually know what I'm doing versus all these new guys that they have that have only been there for 2 or 3 months or 4 months that don't know what they're doing. They don't know what to do. They can't get on the roof and be like, oh, we need to do this and this and this and this and this, or we need this material and this material and this material to get the job done. I've been there for over 5 years, so I know how to do all the stuff that we do, doing commercial repairs on flat roofs. And I know all the materials that we need to use to do certain things, whether we're doing an AC curb, or if we're putting in a drain, or if we're doing a pipe flashing, or doing a wall. Like, there's so many different things on roofs, which I know it sounds weird, but on businesses, on commercial buildings, there is a lot of stuff that goes on roofs. I've even seen a building on the roof of another building. So, but yeah, so that's kind of the situation right now. Is so I quit, but I might still be rehired later today, and I might just go back to work tomorrow. I'm not for sure. I mean, it was a nice few day vacation. I'm definitely way less stressed out than what I was on Thursday before I quit. So I don't know, hopefully I can just keep this peace and stress-freeness. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, I just wanted to give y'all a little update on the job situation. So yeah, that's that. But so now I'm back at the house. So yesterday I went back out to the salvage yard to look for another harness for this thing. I looked through a bunch of cars, but like I explained in the last video, there was just none of them had the correct harness plugs that I needed. So I couldn't use that harness. Like I couldn't find another harness. So this is kind of at a standstill. I'm gonna either have to go to other salvage yards to try to find the correct harness, or I'm gonna have to just swap the whole engine harness to the newer style harness, like what's on the red Grand Am with that big fat purple plug that's in that back corner. But if I do that for the silver Grand Am, then that means I'm gonna have to change the fuel injector wiring with the fuel injector harness that goes to the coolant temp sensor. And to change all of that, that means I'm going to have to remove the upper intake, which is the part I painted red. So there's yeah, it could be a lot more work to swap the whole harness around if I get a newer style harness than if I can just find the older style harness. But if I can't find the older style harness, like what's on it now, and I have to convert it to the newer harness, then I'm just going to have to take some of the engine back apart to convert it. But then, at least that way, there's 10 different harnesses I could go pull at Danny's right now that would just plug right in. But I would have to change the fuel rail and the fuel rail wiring and the injectors. And I can show you what they look like, because I got it over here in my parts pile. This is all off of the Impala engine over here. All this stuff. But if I get in here down to the fuel rail, yeah, so if I get down in here to this fuel rail, it has this little harness on it. So this is that newer style plug that I was talking about. So whenever this is on the engine like that, this harness comes out, and that's where the main engine harness plugs in, like that comes from the fuse box and everything. It plugs into this, and this is what gives all the injectors, and this goes down to the coolant temp sensor on that plug, and then this goes to your map sensor, and then this one goes to your cam sensor. So, and as you can see, this one, it was all ate up and chewed up, a lot like the other wire harness was. And this is all that Impala map sensor. So I would have to change this whole harness. And this newer style like this, it uses the newer style injectors with different injector clips. So I would have to pretty much change the fuel rail, all the injectors, this whole harness, the cam's position sensor. I'd have to change all of that stuff just to swap to a newer style harness. And then to get down to this whole upper intake. So here, give me just a sec. Alright, so I had to move. I was getting dripped on from the carport. But okay, so this is the lower intake. So the fuel rail goes onto the lower intake with all the injectors. and then your upper intake bolts on top, like so. So in order to get to all of that harness, you have to remove all these bolts on this upper. You have to pull your throttle body. You got to pull all these vacuum lines, because there's a bunch of lines that run right through here. There's an engine harness that runs through here. So all that has to be disconnected. You have to pull the intake off. And when you pull that intake off, then that means you got to buy new gaskets again, which I just put brand new ones on it. And I even ripped a brand spanking new one putting it on. So, had to put a little dab of RTV. So if I go to take that apart again, it's definitely going to rip that. At least one side of those gaskets is going to get ripped off. So, I would have to buy gaskets. And I've still got to find and source a whole nother harness. But then if I do go pull one of those other harnesses, I already have this. So I could very easily just take and swap out this fuel rail, these injectors, with this harness and everything, and just put it back onto that engine, and then swap the whole engine, the rest of the engine harness, and that should fix it. But then I'd also, like I said, I just have to buy more gaskets for it. And so I'm trying not to have to do all that right now, because I'm trying to put all my money into this thing, and then I've still got this thing breaking down and having issues every now and then. And this thing, it's running and driving really good. It shifts really well. I've had a lot of interest in this, but just nobody's actually even came to look at the car yet in person. So I guess we'll see if the 07 even sells. But yeah, like I said, right now I'm just trying to put all of my money into this thing. And yesterday I just spent like $250, $300 buying that new full racing, full aluminum radiator. I got the supercharger gasket, which was like almost $40 by itself. And then I got that brand new clutch master with the line and the bleeder valve and all that. And that was like 60 something, 70 bucks. And then that clutch kit was like 150 something dollars. So I mean, I spent a lot of money in the last week and a half ordering a bunch of parts for all this stuff, or for this thing, trying to get everything I need to get this thing done and finished and just done, because I'm ready to drive this thing. But yeah, so I'm trying not to put any more money into this car unless I absolutely have to. And then even once I get this thing running, I still have to do brake lines and bleed the brakes, and I think I might need a wheel bearing or an axle. So I mean, there's still other things that are wrong with this car that still need to get done, that I'm just not at that point of doing at this time. So yeah, I just kind of wanted to give you guys an update with that and with the whole job situation. So it's still kind of sprinkling, so I'm probably going to go inside for a little bit and wait for it to kind of get a little sunny and not be so rainy and droggy or whatever. But yeah, I'm going to go inside for a little bit, and I'll give you guys another update here in a little bit once it turns into a little bit nicer of a day. Hey there, YouTube. So today is Wednesday, Wednesday, and so my old boss, he called me back. He wants me to come back to work. So I told him I would come back for a $2 an hour raise. He agreed, so I got a $2 raise to $21 an hour. So I was supposed to go back today, but I told him I needed to go do some laundry and get some stuff taken care of. So I've already went to laundromat, did laundry, and then I posted this thing for sale a couple days ago for $500. And so I've had a bunch of people message me, but nobody's actually came to get it. And so this other guy was like, hey man, if you can bring it to me, I'll take it. So I'm loading her up on the car dolly right now. Just got her loaded up. So I just got to strap her down and then unhook this winch connections, and we'll be on our way. So I'm going to finish getting this all tied down with these straps, and I'll give you guys another update. Alright you guys, so got it all strapped down. Man, that winch worked out amazing. Just pulled it right up on there. I used my Bauer 20-volt battery that time, the double stack battery. It worked a lot better than that skinnier one. But man, did good. So I've got her in neutral because we're rear wheel drive. Turn the key to off. Steering doesn't lock, so all good. So I'm headed off. Dude sent me the address. So I'm about to head over there right now. So y'all stay tuned and I'll give you guys another update. Bam, guys, they're taking it away. Just brought it up here to the scrapper. She gone. This thing comes in so handy. Oh yeah. Bye, Trailblazer. Alright, let's go get this money. Damn, alright you guys, so I just made it back home. There's the grain dam. There's the silver grain dam. But yeah, so I took this thing to Fraley's. That's where they are. There we go. $367.20. So, parts Trailblazer is gone. The owners are here mowing. They came and said something to me about it. I ended up going and picking up Tommy. And I had the parts Trailblazer on the dolly. And I guess they didn't see me leave with it, but they see me pull back in with it. And they come over and talk to me. And they're like, this can't be here. And I was like, I've had it for like 4 or 5 months. I'm trying to sell it right now. I drove around all day yesterday trying to sell it. But Tommy's like, bro, try Fraley's. So I called Fraley's. And sure enough, they said they would take it with a bill of sale as long as it was notarized. And it was notarized, so I just kind of lucked out there. But none of the salvage yards, nowhere else would take it without a title or the registration, and it had to be in my name. And I never got a title for it, so there was no way to get a title. But I got the bill of sale, and it just so happened to be notarized already, which was awesome. So it's gone. I put some money in my pocket, and I ended up giving Tommy 60 bucks of it just because it was his idea. He's the one who thought of it. He helped me get rid of it. And I had one company, I did like a cash for junk cars, and told them it didn't have a title. I just had the bill of sale, and they offered me $104. And they were going to come get it. So to get $367 out of it, I'm pretty happy with that. It's better than $100. So I just want to give y'all an update. Y'all seen it's gone. So y'all stay tuned and I'll give you guys another update. Alright y'all, so I am back over at the house. I've been here for a while. The owners come by and was bitching about the parts truck and everything. So y'all seen the part. I dropped it off, got it scrapped. Got $367, so I'm happy about that. And then before I went and scrapped it, she also said that I had to get rid of the table and all the stuff over here in the driveway. So I took everything down, got a bunch of stuff in the shed, pulled a bunch of crap out of the shed and threw it away and threw it in the scrap bin. So now I've just got my tools out here on the table and then a little bit here. But so both of these come in today. This is the new supercharger gasket. It's the exact same gasket kit that I bought for the 07. So exact same, everything about it's exactly the same. I won't need a throttle body gasket because this isn't a Gen 5 throttle body. It's a North Star with an adapter plate. So I won't have to use the throttle body gasket, but I'll use everything else. I know one of these is for this plate here. And then the O-rings are the coolant O-rings, which I think this lower intake manifold uses it. And then, yeah, this little side cover down here, which, yeah, looks like I've already put a new gasket on it and RTV'd it, so it looks good. But I can always double check it while it's all apart. But yeah, so that came in, and then also the new clutch master with the line and the bleeder valves, that all came in today as well. So I've got all that stuff. Should go right on here. Looks like it's all exactly the same. It's just chrome hardline instead of all black. And then also the hose that goes to the master cylinder. This one's like a braided plastic line that's melted on, and this one's an actual rubber hose that goes on. But I like it. It looks nice. So this one looks like it's a lot better quality, and then it also has this nice padded section. The other one doesn't have that. It's just hard plastic. And then also, while I was over at the storage yesterday, I went by the storage and I got a bunch of stuff in the trunk of the 07, but I found they're actually the washers that were like RTV down on the parts car between the master, or between the clutch master and the firewall. And I found them in a little like pill container with some other like bolts and stuff, and the socket for the steering column along with the bolt for the steering column. So it was like all the stuff that I had sitting up here while it was over at the storage, and I just picked it all up and put it in a little container with the lid on it. And so I found that. So I have that. So whenever I get all this all pulled off and taken apart, whenever it goes back together with the new stuff, then I'll make sure I put those washers on there like it's supposed to have. And that way everything will be good and correct, and everything should work properly. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at right now. But I just wanted to give you guys an update on the new stuff that come in, the gasket, and then the lines, and then the new radiator is supposed to be here on Saturday. And so I'm waiting for that to come in. And then, yeah, so this morning, well, yesterday, my boss called, and he called me and said he wanted me to come back to work. He agreed to give me a $2 raise if I would come back to work. So I said, all right, cool. So I went back to work this morning, which was also supposed to be my payday from last week's check. And so last week we got a $500 bonus, but they taxed it. So I only got about $250 out of the bonus. And then my boss wanted to talk to me and had the whole situation, so I quit. Well, I guess the owner decided that I shouldn't get the bonus, so he took my whole last check. So my check this morning was $1.14. And I got to work, and we had a safety meeting that was about 30 minutes long. And after the safety meeting, I went right in there and talked to my boss and was like, hey, what's the deal with this? And he said, well, the owner decided that you didn't need to get the bonus, so he just took your check to take the bonus back. And I was like, that's against the law. Like, that is fraud. And so I told him that if I have a check there tomorrow waiting on me for the $475 that he took from my check, because Friday is actual payday. I just get it on Thursday because I have direct deposit. But I told him, if I have a check there tomorrow, then that'll be it. Like, I won't do anything. But if I don't have my money tomorrow on payday, then I'm going to the IRS, and I'm going to the labor board, and I'm going to go to the news, and this shit's going to get blown way the fuck up, because I'm not, like, yeah, you can fuck with me about a lot of shit, but you don't fuck with my money. Like, that's not cool. And especially with the shady shit that the owner has done over the last few years. And I have proof of it. They've tried to delete some of the evidence, but I have proof. I have screenshots from whenever they changed my pay rate from $14 an hour to $21 an hour. And they tried to delete it, but I have the proof. So, yeah, we might have a big old lawsuit against my old job, because, yeah, they pretty much just stole almost $500 from me. That's a felony. That's a felony offense. I could press charges against that. Like, that's not cool at all. So, but yeah, that's the update with the job. So I'm still currently no longer work at Turner Roofing. I still say fuck that company. I was only going back because I was getting a $2 raise, and that's what I wanted. I told them I would come back for a $2 raise to 21, because if they could change my pay rate from 14 to 21, then I want fucking 21, or else y'all can shove it up your ass. So he agreed to give me 21, and then they just took my whole fucking paycheck. I'm still pissed. So I was pretty stressed out this morning, so I drove around and called around, and finally the scrapyard said, hey, we'll take it with the notarized bill of sale. So I took it to them with the notarized bill of sale. They gave me $367 for it, so I'm happy with it. I had people wanting to come get it for $104, but they wanted a title, and I didn't have a title, so no one would come get it. So I'm really glad that Fraley's will take him with just a notarized bill of sale. So that's pretty sweet. I'm happy with it. Parts truck's gone. Put some money in my pocket. And so now I'm back over here at the house working on this. Well, I'm about to start working on this thing. So I just wanted to give y'all an update, show y'all the new parts that come in, and kind of give you guys an update on the whole situation with everything. So yeah, I've got plenty of time to be here and get this stuff done. And yeah, also when the owner was here, she said something about the Grand Am, and I told her it needed a clutch, and I showed her the new clutch, and so she gave me 2 weeks to get this thing apart and back together. And she said the next time she comes out here, if it's still here, she wants to see it run and drive. So I got 2 weeks to try to get this clutch done. So I need to get a move on. So I'm going to get off here, stop rambling on, because it's been like almost 9 minutes now. But I just wanted to kind of explain everything so everybody knows what's going on. And yeah, so I'm going to get some tools, get busy working on this thing, and I'll give you guys another update here shortly. Alright, you guys, so I've made a little bit of progress. So I've got the dog bone mount. It's off. It's over here. I've got this whole top piece off. It's over there on the table. Got the front transmission mount and the bracket off. I got the clutch master and the line with the bleeder valve off. So all this is open. I've been disconnecting all these lines. I've disconnected the speed sensor from that side. I just got to pull it across. And I think I have it zip tied in a couple spots underneath. So I'm probably going to have to roll under there and cut a few zip ties to get it to pull all the way over. But then I'll be able to get this whole harness, flip it up here out of the way, so it won't be in the way of anything. And then I've disconnected one of these shifter cables. I've got to disconnect the other one down there. I don't know if y'all can see that. But yeah, I've got that one disconnected from there, so I've got to disconnect the other one there. It just pops right off. And then I've got to pop both of these shifter cables out of this bracket, because I can't unbolt the bracket because the crossover pipe is in the way. So I just have to pop the cables out of the bracket. But yeah, I'm making lots of good progress. So I'm getting much closer. And then as you can see now, I've moved that mount bracket that was here, and I've unbolted the ABS pump from the subframe. So now this all moves freely. And there's just one little clip right there. And then I believe there's another one back over there that holds it. And then yeah, so once I get those out of the way, then I should be able to drop this whole thing down. So this whole thing went in here, and I maneuvered it around this brake line. So I should be able to pull it back out, maneuvering it around this brake line. So that's the plan right now. So I still got a few more things I have to do before I can start dropping it down. So I still have to disconnect the heater hoses and get those out of the way. And then I have to disconnect the fuel lines, which on this is real easy. You just squeeze these two plastic tabs and then pull, and that pops the fuel line off. I don't have to unscrew anything. It just clicks right on and clips off. So that's a nice, easy, quick disconnect. So, but yeah, I mean, overall, I like the way how everything has been going. I've just got to get clutch done. So I've got to get this thing dropped out of here. Oh yeah, I still have to disconnect the exhaust, the downpipe from the rear exhaust manifold. But I mean, other than that, you know, it's not very much left, and then I can drop this thing out of here. So fuel lines, exhaust, shifter cables, got to disconnect them from the bracket, snake them back through, finish undoing my harness and throw it over the top. And yeah, then I think I'll be good to, oh, and heater hoses. And then after that, I think I'll be good to start unbolting the subframe and dropping this thing down. I was debating on go ahead and pulling the supercharger off and pulling the intercooler off, because the intercooler is getting sold anyways. So I figured I could go ahead and just pull it off, and then that way I won't have to get the body of the car as high to get this out from underneath the car. So I know I might do that. I still haven't decided. Mainly I just want to get this thing ready to drop out, and then once it's ready to drop out, if I decide I want to go ahead and pull the supercharger, then I will. I brought my belt tool and all that. It's in the trunk of the 07, so popping this belt off will be a breeze. It won't be anything. So, but yeah, that's where I'm at right now. So I just want to give y'all an update, show y'all that I am making some progress. So y'all stay tuned, and I'll give you guys another update here shortly after I make some more progress. Alright, you guys, so I've got the brake master all disconnected. Got the exhaust downpipe disconnected. There's the gasket and the 2 nuts and bolts. So we are fully disconnected from the exhaust. So yeah, and then I got the fuel lines disconnected. They're right there. I unplugged the O2. I think I still have the downstream, which it should stay, because see, it just tucks that black cord right there. That goes down to the the wideband O2 basically, and comes in here to the wideband gauge. So that one's gonna stay. It doesn't interfere with anything. So pretty much I have both the heater hoses left, and then I got the engine mount off over here. I don't know if I already showed you all that, but I went ahead and got that all apart, got the brake line out of the way. So now whenever I start dropping everything down, I can kind of maneuver this around everything. But yeah, I need to unbolt this brake line from the car, so that way I can kind of pull it out and move it a little bit. And I've got to get these AC lines to go around the engine. I'm pretty sure these just pop out of the holes right there. But yeah, it's going really, really well. So there's not a whole lot left to do, and then I can start dropping the subframe back out of here with the engine and trans. I do still have to pull both of these strut to knuckle bolts off on both sides, and I still got to pull this brake caliper off on this side and disconnect this brake line. But I mean, other than that, it's coming together really quick. So coming apart really quick, I should say. But yeah, that's how everything's going. So y'all stay tuned, and I'll give you guys another update here shortly. Alright, you guys, so I've got everything disconnected. As you can see, the exhaust down there, heater hoses. I still need to pop these shifter cables out of this bracket, so I can run those back through down there. But man, I've got all 4 subframe bolts out, and got let's see, yeah, so I got my caliper over here hanging up, so this brake line comes way out here in the front, and that gives it plenty of room to drop. And then I think I'm gonna have to undo this AC line from the firewall right down there, just because the power steering pump line runs around it, so it goes from underneath it over here around it. So I think I'm gonna have to pull that AC line off. It's just a 13, and then it'll come right out over here on this side. So I'm gonna get that AC line out of the way. But yeah, other than that, it's coming out. Everything's disconnected. and she's dropping. So the only other thing I have to do, like I said, is get those shifter cables undone. So I'm going to do that right now. I'm going to grab a flathead and get both of those. They have a little clip right there. You press that clip and then it slides out. So I'm going to get both of those popped out and start pulling those back through. And once they're out of the way, then I should be able to drop this thing all the way down, and I'll just have to keep making sure that I'm not going to hit and catch on this brake line on anything, and make sure everything clears. And yeah, we'll be good to go. So y'all stay tuned, and I'll give you guys another update once I make some more progress on this thing. Alright y'all, so I got my shifter cables disconnected. I've got them pulled out. They're hanging down there. I also had that power steering line over there, was bolted to the bottom of the car. Come around the other side. We got this power steering line. It was bolted right there to the bottom of the car. So if you have a Grand Am, make sure you disconnect that power steering line. And then I went ahead and pulled out this whole AC stuff. I just pulled out everything, the whole line, so nothing's getting tangled up with any of my other stuff. And yeah, that's it. She's ready to come out. She's ready to drop. So I'm going to go ahead and finish removing this bolt and the bolt on the other side. And I'm going to start slowly dropping her down. And I give you guys another update as I go. It looks like I'm already dragging a little bit on the body. So I know we'll figure it out, but I just want to give y'all an update, so y'all stay tuned, and I'll give you guys another update here shortly. Bam, alright you guys, so I've got the subframe lowered down, sitting on 4 jack stands. It's not all the way down yet, but I'm getting there. Oh look, it's not even sitting on this one. That's crazy. Yeah, that's real crazy. But man, it's coming along. I'm making some really good progress. So now I've got to I don't know, I need to figure out something. I don't know if I want to. I think I need to pull the transmission off of this creeper, and I can put this creeper under there. And I think if I jack up the rear, lower the jack stands down and lower it down, and then jack up the front, lower the jack stands down and lower it down, and get it as low to the ground as I can, then I can get the cherry picker out of the shed, and I can just hook it on to the radiator support right here. And I'll have to probably take the hood off, but then I'll be able to raise the car up, kind of like I did over at the storage with the chain hoist, which I did bring that, but I don't think that the carport is going to hold the body of the car. This is a lot weaker material than the red iron at the storage. So yeah, I think I'm just going to use the cherry picker, and then I'll be able to lift the body up. And then if I use that creeper, then I'll be able to set this down on the creeper and then just roll it out the side. But I just need to get the body up high enough to where all of this will clear right in here, which means I'll probably have to unbolt and remove the strut to give me more room. But I need to get this down low enough to where the supercharger and the harness can clear right here, and this will just move out of the way. But yeah, it's getting super close. It's basically out. I mean, it's dropped down. I did put a bungee cord on the exhaust to try to hold it up, and it's not really doing that good of a job. It's still leaning on the subframe and on the rack and pinion down there. But I mean, overall, I've made a lot of progress on this thing over the last few days, and I'm really excited. So I think I'm about to call it a night though, because it's like almost, it's going on 11:30, and I've been up since 5:30. Like I said, I went to work this morning and only got $1 paycheck, and I said, nah, I'm out, I'm leaving, and I left. So I've still been up all day. I did a bunch of cleaning up, had to get rid of the table, so got everything cleared out of here. Blew all the crap out of the driveway, raked up a bunch of crap and threw it away. And then I reset up the table over here so I could put my tools out on it and not be laying all over the ground in the driveway. And then, yeah, this is what I did for holding the subframe to lower the subframe down. I just got this to be on the jack and this under the subframe going across from control arm to control arm. And I just put like 6 nails in it and some screws, and that worked really well. So that gave it plenty of holding power, and yeah, that went really smoothly. I probably could have lowered it down a little bit more, but it is what it is. But yeah, I think that's gonna be it for tonight. So y'all stay tuned, and I'll give you guys another update tomorrow morning. Hey YouTube, alright, so it is now Friday morning. It's about 9 o'clock. And so I'm back out here. So today I'm going to continue getting this subframe fully dropped out of here and out from under the car. So that way I can get this engine disconnected from the trans, and we'll do this clutch kit. Hopefully everything goes very smoothly today. So, man, made a lot of progress so far though. Lots of fucking progress. Could not be happier. So, I'm going to keep working on this, get this thing dropped out of here, and I'll give you guys another update here shortly. Alright you guys, so I'm making some more progress. I got the cherry picker out. I've got it hooked onto the hood latch area in that hole. And I've lifted the car up. I went ahead and I pulled the pins on both of these front jack stands to get them as low as they would go. And I lowered the rear ones down as low as they would go. And that's as low as it goes. So, it's going really good. It's almost completely out of the car. As you can tell, it's almost ready to come out. So, I just need to bring the body up just a little bit higher, and then that should be high enough to get this thing out of here. And I don't think I'm going to have to pull the struts. I might have to, but I might not have to. So I'm just going to see how that goes. I'm going to see if I can just get the car up high enough and go that route. So y'all stay tuned, and I'll give you guys another update. Man, look, David just showed up in the 97. Let's pop this baby. Bam. Hell yeah. Got the 3800 meat over here at the house. Shit.
What's up?
Yeah, this thing still runs great. Yeah, and there's that pillar pod that I got and I gave David. It come out of that 99, that silver 99. Ooh, I wonder if my radiator is going to come in today for the Grand Am. Yeah, I just want to give y'all a little update. Show y'all the 97 is still alive. Here's the leather interior. There's the dash. Yeah, we posted this for sale with the parts car for $2,500 for both. You just still got to swap the dash and the windshield and the steering column. And the key that works the steering column is the same key that works the door. And yeah, so this is the 97. Got a transmission temp gauge down there, and got a boost gauge here. So yeah, I'm gonna get back to work on pulling this motor and transmission out from under the Grand Am, and I'll give you guys another update. Alright you guys, so I've got the car up high enough. As you can see, I took out the washer fluid tank, so I have plenty of clearance in here. I don't have to remove the strut. This will come out. So I'm about to head over to the storage. I've cleaned out the back seat. I'm gonna go get the long cart, and I'm just gonna have to jack it up, remove the jack stands to slide the cart in from this side, and then I guess set it back on the jack stand to jack up the other side and get the cart under that side of the subframe. And then once I get it fully set down on the subframe with no jack stands under it, I'll be able to just slide the whole cart out, and I'll just pull the Trailblazer more forward whenever I get back, so I have more room out here to work on it. And then I don't have any taller jack stands, and I can't seem to remember where I seen them, where they had these huge like semi-truck jack stands. They were huge, but I can't remember where I seen them at. So once I get this out, I'm just gonna lower the car back down onto these jack stands, and then use the cherry picker to lift the engine and transmission off of the subframe, and do the clutch and the slave and all that stuff. So I'm gonna head over to the storage to get this cart, and I'll give you guys another update once I make it over there. All right, you guys, so I made it over here to the storage. I got all the tools off of the cart. And I got the cart disassembled, got the handles right here, and then got the cart all in here, and everything clears. Door shuts, so we're good there. And then I got the Loctite, the thread tape, anything else I thought that I might need while I'm over here, I'm going to try to go ahead and grab now while I'm here. So I grabbed the torque wrench because I'm going to need it. I don't think I'm going to need the slide hammer. I don't need the compression tester kit, or what is that? The pressure tester. I don't need the ball joint kit or any of that. I don't need any of those tools. I don't need the scanner. I might use that drain pan. But yeah, I don't think I really need any of this other stuff that's in here right now. So I think I'm good. Alright, yeah. This thing's getting empty. So, alright, I guess I'm going to lock this thing back up and head back to the house, and I'll give you guys another update when I make it back home. Alright, you guys, I made it back over here to the house. So I'm about to unload this cart here so I can get it wheeled underneath the subframe and start getting this whole subframe, engine, and trans lowered down onto the cart. And then I've got the handles up there so I can stick it in these ends, and I'll be able to actually pull it and wheel the whole thing out from underneath the car. So that's the plan. So I'm going to get all this stuff unloaded, and I'll give you guys another update. Alright, you guys, so I've got this side jacked up. I've got the cart under there most of the way. So now I've got to take the jack around to the other side, jack up the other side. And I'm probably actually going to have to put the jack stands back under it, so as I slide it over there, then it's still up off of the cart. Because if all the weight is on the cart, it's not going to slide over further. But I'm going to make this work. I'm going to get this back under here. So y'all give me a few, and I'll give you guys another update here in just a minute. Shit, alright guys, so I got the subframe sat down on the cart. Got the handle out of the back seat of the Trailblazer, and it pretty much, I had to lift it up a little bit higher, but it pretty much come right out. The only problem I'm having is the strut was in the way for the fuel pressure regulator, so I had to kind of roll it forward some to clear the strut. But now I'm catching on the car dolly leg, or on the cherry picker leg, so that's my only issue. So I might have to remove this strut, just 3/13s up here. So if I have to remove it, I have to remove it. Shouldn't be that big of a deal. But I mean, other than that, it's pretty much coming right out of here. So I'm going to try to still maneuver this out of here as best I can. But I'm really happy with the progress. So I'm going to keep working on getting this thing out here, over here into the middle of the driveway, and I'll give you guys another update. Alright guys, and once again, she is an empty engine bay. Nothing under there, just exhaust. Got everything right here. So Subframe, engine, and trans is out with everything. So now I've got to, I'm going to have to pull the supercharger belt and the main belt off. I have to disconnect the power steering pump because it stays with the rack. So both the belts got to come off. Power steering pump has to come off. And then I got to pull the starter off. I guess I don't have to pull the starter off because there's no bell housing bolts on this, or torque converter bolts. So I guess I just got to pull the other two. We got the bitch bolt back there, and then those two up there. So I got 3 bell housing bolts left, and then I can just undo these 2 bolts here for the mount and just leave the mount bolted to the subframe. And then I got to pop both the axles out. And I got to undo this rear mount here. It's a 13 and a 15 because that's what I had to use to make the poly bushing work. Because the original bolt would not go through the sleeve that goes on the inside of the poly bushing. Same thing with the front one. See that one? So the original big bolts like this won't fit through that hole, so I had to use one of these smaller bolts like this to make it fit through that sleeve. So that's what that is right there. And on the front one. But yeah, made a shit ton of progress today. It is out of here. So still got a ways to go. Ways to go, but making good progress. So I'm gonna keep working on this, get these axles popped out, get mounts undone. I've got to lower the body back down onto these two larger, taller jack stands, and that way I can unhook the cherry picker from the car, and then I can get the chain. And I've got, oh, I thought I had the hook back here. Alright, I guess I'm gonna have to install my hook back here, and then I've got the hook up here on the front so I can hook up my chain and just lift the whole engine off. I don't know, but I'm gonna get this off of here, so y'all stay tuned and I'll give you guys another update here shortly. Alright you guys, so I've got the body of the car lowered back down onto the jack stands. So she's sitting on the stands nice and solid. So I went ahead and got the cherry picker hooked up to the engine, got the chain on the front hook, and then I just put the chain on the alternator bracket and put the second nut on there. And that's how I've pulled engines like that before. So I went ahead and got that on there. The engine is like, it's been picked up by the cherry picker, so it's not just sitting on the card anymore. So I need to get my 13 and pull these 2 13mm bolts out. There's one right there, and then if you turn, there's another one there in the bottom. They're both 13 mils or 1/2 inch. I'm pretty sure they're 13 mil. But yeah, I've just got to unbolt that and just set it back here and kind of get my, I'm probably going to have to undo that spark. Yeah, I'm probably going to have to undo the spark plug wire because it seems to run through. And then I might have to unplug this oil pressure sensor because it runs through. But super duper close, super duper close. So I'm going to keep working on getting this disconnected. I've already got the bell housing bolts out, already got my bitch bolt out. All the bell housing bolts are out, they're all sitting over there. And then the other 2 front ones are in the front trans mount that bolts to the front of those front 2 on the bell housing right there. So that's all 5 bell housing bolts. And so really, if I just lift just the engine off of the trans and I keep the trans like kind of level, then I should be able to slide the engine over. But I need to unbolt this first. So I'm going to go ahead and get that power steering pump unbolted, get my line untangled from all the wiring and the plug wires, and then I should be able to remove the engine from the transmission and just get it out of the way. So y'all give me just a few. I'm going to get this separated and I'll give you guys another update. Bam! Alright you guys, so it's 8:15 and I just got the engine and trans all separated. So it doesn't really look like there was any issues with anything. I mean, it looks like everything is fine. It's just, I think it's just this slave It just isn't working properly. But it's alright. We're going to get this one off of there. I got a brand new one in the trunk that came with the new clutch kit to go on it. I'm going to wire wheel and clean up this shaft. Get it all greased up with that high temp grease. And yeah, and then I'm going to go ahead and get this old clutch kit off of here. And we'll get everything cleaned up. Get these pressure plate bolts all cleaned up. And yeah, and then we'll start getting this new clutch kit installed. I want to double check the torque on the flywheel bolts going onto the crank. Just make sure that they're still good. I know this has only ran like 4 or 5 times, but I just want to double check everything. It's been months since I put this together. But yeah, I made really fucking good progress today. So I'm going to keep working on this and get this clutch kit and everything, this pressure plate and stuff off of here, and get this slave out of here, and then I'll give you guys another update. Bam. Alright, you guys, so I've got the flywheel all wire wheeled to get all that just surface rust off of it, get nice and clean. I went ahead and sprayed down with brake clean the back side of the pressure plate, and it had like a little bit of shit right here, so I went ahead and wire wheeled that off, I guess just from sitting in the trunk of the Grand Am for a few days. But so I've got the new 6-puck clutch on there with the alignment tool, so I'm about to take the pressure plate and get it on there. I've got to grab the Loctite out of the front of the Trailblazer so I can Loctite all the bolts as they go in. But man, we're making great progress. So I'm going to grab this blue Loctite and we'll get this pressure plate installed. And then once David comes back over here, I was having him hold this breaker bar while I'm using the torque wrench on this side. And I torqued down all of the flywheel bolts to the crank. And I have a screenshot. I'll insert it here. But it said it was 37 foot-pounds and then 73 foot-pounds, and they want you to do it in kind of like doing torquing head bolts. They want you to do it in like 2 or 3 stages. And so that, yeah, I've got the flywheel all torqued down. So got this this actual clutch disc installed, and we're gonna get this pressure plate installed and Loctited and get that torqued down as well. And then I can move on to the transmission. I've got to remove this eBay slave. I've got a brand new one right there that came with the XTD kit. So hopefully after swapping all this stuff, we have no more issues. So I'm going to go ahead and finish getting this done, and then I'll give you guys an update before I pull the slave cylinder out of the trans. So y'all give me just a few and I'll give y'all another update. Alright, y'all, so David just helped me. He held that side on the crank pulley while I torqued down this side to 52 foot-pounds on all 6 pressure plate bolts. And so now everything's nice and torqued. So there we go. Looking good, looking good. So I'm gonna go ahead and get the wire wheel. I need to wire wheel this. I need to get this old slave off of here, which is just 3 little torque bolts. So I'm gonna get these this slave off of here, and then I'll give you guys another update. Alright, you guys, so I've got the slave out. As you can see, it's 3 bolts around the shaft, and then 1 up here where it goes through the bell housing. So there's my 4 bolts, and they are a T30. So super easy, come right out. You see I got my fluid in there, starting to drip out some fluid. So I gotta grab the wire wheel and wire wheel the shaft up. And then I've got the high temp grease over there, the purple grease, and that's gonna get spread all over this shaft. And then I'm gonna get the brand new slave on and get it bolted down. And then we'll be ready to remate the engine to the transmission and start getting everything put back together and get ready to go back into the car. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this new slave opened up and get it bolted down on here, and I'll give you guys another update. Alright, you guys, so I've got the shaft all wire wheeled up. Let me take that There we go. I've spun it, wire wheeled it. I can't get in all these grooves really well with the wire wheel because it's just this little thin thing. But I've got it all nice and cleaned up, got the end cleaned up. So I'm going to use this Ceramolube 2800 degree Fahrenheit grease. And it's going to go all over these splines right here. And then once I get all these splines covered in this, then I'll go ahead and get the new slave on and get it bolted down, and we'll be good to go. So y'all give me just a few. I'm gonna go ahead and finish this up, and I'll give y'all another update. All right, you guys, so I've got the new slave installed. It seems to move so much more freely than that other one that I just removed. And then I went ahead and got all the Ceramolube on there and got it all rubbed in real good. So I'm gonna call that good. I got as much of it out of there as I could. So I'm gonna call that good. So now I'm gonna go ahead and pop that clutch alignment tool back out of there. And then I'll be ready to start getting the engine rolled back over here and start getting her mated back up to the trans. There we go. So, all right, you guys, let's get this done. Start getting this engine mated back up to the transmission. Start getting our bell housing bolts back in and start getting this thing ready to go back into the car. So, y'all give me a few and I'll give you guys another update here in just a minute. All right, you guys. So, finally, like 2 fucking hours later, after fighting with it over here on the cart, couldn't get that stupid shaft to line up, so I had to just take the whole fucking thing off and just unbolt it off from the subframe and the mount and the rear mount. I just had to take everything off, and with the help of David, we finally got this motherfucker on here. And then I also had to take off the crossover because, like I said, these flanges here get in the way of that motherfucker. So, yeah, so yeah, that's what I had to do to be able to get this thing back on here. But it's on, the new clutch is on, the new slave is in, everything's torqued down and Loctited, so we should be good. So I'm going to start getting this thing set back into place over here, and I'll give you guys another update here shortly. Bam, you guys. So after hours of finagling with this thing, we finally got it back on here. It's bolted up to the engine. Everything's mounted nice and flush. Got the trans mount on. Got the rear trans mount back on. And then David helped me get the axles back in. And then I went ahead and put it in gear. And then whenever you put a ratchet with the 24 socket on the crank pulley and spin it over, it spins both wheels. So I know the clutch is like the shaft of the transmission is in the clutch and it's all working and everything. So far everything is good. I really wish I had some more trans fluid because I would go ahead and fill that up right now before it goes back in the car. So I might have to do that first thing tomorrow morning, is run up to Walmart and just get some more trans fluid so I can top it back off while it's easy to get to before I put it back in the car, before I put the crossover pipe back on. So, but man, made lots of progress today. Got this thing out of the car, all torn apart, replaced the clutch kit, replaced the slave, got it all back together. It's all mounted back up. And so now it's just going to be this little bit of shit and then put it back in the car. I did want to power wash the subframe while I had the engine and trans off, but that didn't happen. I ran out of time. And then I had to pull the axles, and all the trans fluid went everywhere, all over the driveway. So I just had to sweep all the floor dry and cat litter over here to kind of soak it up. So that made a huge mess. And I lost all the fluid I had in the trans. Like every bit of it come out. So I guess that's just part of the game sometimes. So I'll get some more fluid tomorrow and some brake clean, and because I ran out of brake clean too after I cleaned the pressure plate. So we'll get some more supplies tomorrow, and we'll get this thing back in the car and start getting everything hooked back up tomorrow. So I think that's going to be it for tonight. So I'm going to start getting everything picked up, and I'll give you guys another update before I call it a night and go inside and take a shower. Alright, you guys, so it's just after midnight, so I can't do any more work. It's too late. So I pretty much got all the tools picked up and loaded back into the Trailblazer. I got the light off because it was just so hot and there were so many bugs out here flying around. But man, everything's come together. Made a lot of progress yesterday and today. So everything's coming together. So tomorrow morning I've got to run to Walmart. I've got to get more trans fluid so I could top that off before I put the crossover on. And then I have to still bolt the power steering pump back on. And then I've got to remove the supercharger and remove the intercooler. And then once all that's done, then I will wheel the engine and everything back underneath the car. And then that will give me a lot more clearance to get it back under there. But the intercooler has to come off anyways because I'm selling it. And so yeah, it has to come off. And so I figured it would be a lot easier for me to get it apart with it out of the car instead of trying to reach into the engine bay, trying to get the supercharger and shit off. Plus it's all RTV'd on there, so it's already going to be a pain in the ass to pop it off. And then I'm going to have to wire wheel and scrape a bunch of RTV off of it and scrape gaskets off of both sides. So, but yeah, it's going to be probably another long day tomorrow. But yeah, I think that's going to be it for tonight. And so y'all have a good night, and I will catch you guys tomorrow morning. Hey YouTube, so it is 8:30 in the morning, Saturday morning. So it's been kind of sprinkling and raining, and I just woke up. I come out here, but everything's still good. Everything's still pretty dry over here. It didn't rain super hard. So like I said last night, first thing this morning, I need to go up to Walmart. I need to get some antifreeze, some transmission fluid, some brake clean, and I'm sure there's a few other things I need to get. I was debating on getting some oil and oil filter. And so then last night I seen a lady, she posted she has a 3/4 gallon of antifreeze, a brand new 1 gallon jug of oil. She has a little bottle of brake fluid, like the little bottles there, and then she had a thing of transmission fluid, but it's only about 1.5 to 2 quarts, and she wants $25 for all of it. So I'm going to get all of that just to save me a little bit of money, and then that way I don't have to buy the oil at Walmart, because that was like $20 to $25 by itself for oil. So I'm just going to get all that stuff for $25, and that'll save me $15-20. Then I won't have to spend, you know, money on coolant at Walmart, because I'll get that jug. And then I could use the brake fluid, because I've got to do the brake stuff on the Silver Grand Dam. And then I'm going to have to install the new clutch master and lines and everything, and get that all filled with fluid. So I'm going to need the brake fluid regardless. But yeah, I just wanted to give you guys a little update this morning. So first things first, I've got to run and go meet this lady. I'm waiting for her to message me back again right now. We were messaging at like 2 o'clock in the morning, and I was like, I'll just wait until in the morning time when it's daylight, and I'll come meet up with you. So I'm going to run out there, go meet up with her when she texts me back, and then I'm going to run to Walmart, get the rest of the new fluids that I need, and anything else I might need, and then I'll head back over here, and I'll give you guys another update. Alright guys, so I just made it back over here to the house. The lady that had the other fluids, she was going to sell me all that stuff for $25. She's not messaging me back. So I ended up having to go to 2 different Walmarts, because the Walmart up here closest to my house, they were completely sold out of all the 1 gallon jugs of transmission fluid. So I just went to another Walmart up off of 71st by the mall, and I got the transmission fluid and the brake clean and a few other things. But so, alright, so I just went, so I got me one more whole thing of antifreeze, because I still have, that's what I recycled from the car between the coolant system like through the radiator and through the intercooler system. So I got 1 gallon there, 2nd gallon here. I have some engine degreaser for spraying down the engine bay and stuff. I have the brake fluid for doing the clutch kit. I got the transmission fluid for the trans. I got some washer fluid because whenever I pulled the washer fluid tank, I had to dump all the fluid out. It was completely full. And then I went ahead and got some brand new hose clamps just so I'm sure that I have some good hose clamps. I got some more zip ties because I was out of zip ties. I got power steering fluid for the power steering because I think it just has a little bit in it right now. And then I got this octane booster, Gum-Out octane booster for the fuel system in the Green Dam because it's got that brand new pump and a brand new filter. I just want to make sure all the lines are good and cleaned out. And then I got this JB Weld Quick Weld, and this is going to be for that AC line, and it said it holds up to 3,127 PSI, and this only runs on like 30 PSI of pressure, the AC system, so that should work to fix where, oh, where's that? It's right here. So I bent this line to make this go onto the compressor, and if you can see right there in the corner, my phone will focus. Yeah, you can see that silver line right there in the corner. It's cracked. I cracked it when I bent it. So I'm going to have to clean this up really, really good. And then JB Weld the fuck out of it. It says it sets in 6 minutes and cures in 4 hours. 4 to 6 hours. So, yeah, it'll be fine. I'm going to have to clean that up. That's one reason why I got some brake clean. So I can spray this down, get all this gunk off, get it all cleaned up. I'll be able to mix up that JB Weld, go ahead and get that fixed. Because I had two other sets of AC lines, but they were actually the 3-4 AC lines. These are actually the 2-2 Ecotech AC lines, and this just happens to go right into that 3800 AC compressor. It's just not bent correctly, so that's why I'm having to bend it. But I still need to bend it like from here. It needs to be bent like from this. It needs to be bent about to here, but only from like right here. So I need to get something that I like, put this in a vise or something and bend this some more, so that way it's not putting more pressure here as I'm trying to bend it. And then I've got to get those cracks sealed, and then this AC line will be good to use. So yeah, I've got a lot of work ahead of me today, but I guess first things first is I'm going to go ahead and fill up the transmission with fluid while it's out and it's easy to get to. And then once I get the transmission filled with the trans fluid, then I'll get the crossover pipe back on. It's right here underneath the cooler. And the donut gasket and the bolts are under there as well. And then, yeah, I'll start getting all that put back together. And then I've got to bolt down the power steering pump. And then I'm going to have to pull this chain off of here and pull the rear spark plug wires. And I'm going to have to unbolt this bracket from the supercharger that holds the fuel pressure regulator and everything. Because I've got to pull the supercharger off and pull the intercooler off. I want to do all that before I put it back in the car. So, yeah, like I said, I've got my work's cut out for me today. But I'm going to get this done and try to have this thing back bolted up underneath the car today. It's about noon right now, maybe a little before. I'm not 100% sure. Let's see. Oh, it's 12:20. So, yeah, it's 12:20. I'll be out here probably for another 12 hours working on this thing until midnight tonight. So, yeah, y'all stay tuned. I'm going to get to work on this thing, and I'll give you guys another update here shortly. Alright, you guys, so I just got the transmission all topped off. I spilled some, so I just brake cleaned it off. Try to get all of it cleaned up as best I could. So now that I've got the transmission filled with fluid, now I'm going to go ahead and put the crossover pipe back on. So I got a couple of brand new donut gaskets. This one wasn't bad. It was new whenever I put it together. But it's used now. I have brand new ones, so I'm going to use the brand new ones. Here's all the bolts. I lost one washer, so I need to find the other washer. I'm sure it's down around here somewhere, so I'll find the other washer. And then, yeah, I'll get this crossover pipe back on here, and then we can move on to bolting on the power steering pump, and then get to removing this supercharger off of here. So, y'all stay tuned. I'll give you guys another update here in just a few. Dude, guys, I was over here working on the car, and my neighbor come home, and I didn't even realize it. David's seen it, but dude, look at this thing. Dude, he got hit hard. Look at the roof separated. The door is like halfway in the passenger seat. Like, I can't believe he drove this thing home. That thing is, God, it's ridiculous. And then it must have pushed him into a curb or something, because this wheel got fucked. But dude, that's just, God, that's ridiculous. I just can't believe that thing drove home. I can't believe the cops didn't tow that. I can't believe they even let him drive it. That thing is fucked.
Yeah, he took really good care of that thing too.
But yeah, I just wanted to show y'all this little Camry. The Toyotas, man, they're good cars. That thing got cremated. But yeah, I just wanted to show y'all that. David pointed it out, and decided to take a break from the Grand Am for a minute. But so, yeah, y'all seen I got the trans filled up with fluid, and I was just getting the crossover pipe on whenever David come by and pointed out the car. So it's on. I just have one more nut. I got to put on this bolt back here. I just need to get it a little bit closer so I can get those threads to catch like that. Then I can tighten down this side first, and then that side. And then crossover pipe is on and done. And then I can move over here and get this power steering pump bolted back on. It's just those two 13s. And then I can pull the supercharger off. And once the supercharger's off, this thing will be ready to slide back under and start going back in the car. So, yeah, I'm going to keep working on this thing and get this crossover pipe all tightened up and get the power steering pump bolted on. And then I'll give you guys another update before I start pulling off the supercharger. Alright, you guys, so I've got the crossover pipe all bolted back down. Everything's seated nicely. So I started running my harness back the way it's going to go when it goes back in the car. I got my transmission speed sensor and reverse light sensors plugged in. I went ahead and zip tied all this automatic stuff that I'm not going to be using to the transmission back here, so that way nothing's going to rub on the axle, and it's not going to get in the way of the rack and pinion, and it's not going to get melted by the exhaust or anything. So I'm happy with it. I'm making good progress. So next thing I have to do is up here somewhere in all of this, I have a couple of the wires. It's this speed sensor wire that runs across through here, and it was getting tangled up when this was all still in the car, and I was trying to undo it, and it ended up breaking. So I was just like, fuck it, and I just cut it and said I'll wire it back on and rerun it before it goes back in. So I need to make sure I get that wired on. And then I've got the power steering pump all bolted on and topped off. And I didn't even notice this, but it has a heat shield on the back side of the reservoir. So that's pretty cool.
Is this one?
But yeah, I've got, yes. Yeah, that's the speed sensor. And then there was another wire. It's the same green and, no, it's the same colors as these, and it's just long, and it's the extension that goes between. It's probably like 1.5 feet or so long. Yep. Yeah, there's the extension. So I've got to wire those back on. But I've got the power steering pump all wired back on and done. So that's all good to go. It's topped off. It has a heat shield. And so yeah, so I went ahead and unbolted the map sensor bracket with the fuel pressure regulator and just undid the vacuum line. And so I know all of these supercharger bolts are a 6mm, except for these like 2 or 3 other ones, I don't know why they're not also a Allen bolt like the rest of them, but it is what it is. So I've got to get all these supercharger bolts loosened, then I can go ahead and pull the supercharger. I'm probably going to have to pull all 3 of my rear plug wires and just pull those up off of this and throw them over the front. And then I might have to disconnect this fuel line because it's like, it's pretty snug over the top side of the supercharger there. It was supposed to go down here underneath, but we'll see. We'll see how it goes. I might have to disconnect this line, but even if I do, not a big deal. So I'm going to keep working on this and get these supercharger bolts all undone and get these spark plug wires undone and possibly this fuel line, and then I'll give you guys another update. Whew, alright you guys, so I got it broke free. I had to use a pry bar, and I had to put it right here between the intercooler and the supercharger to pop it off, but she's free, so looks like it's sealed pretty well. I guess we'll see once I get this pulled off of here and set down. So I'm gonna grab this, get it flipped upside down, and set it down over here, and I'll give y'all another update and we'll take a closer look. Alright y'all, so I got supercharger off. There's barely anything. I mean, it definitely transferred a little bit of the gasket material, but I mean the whole gasket pretty much stayed on the intercooler. So now I just got to get the intercooler itself free and separated from the lower intake manifold and get this whole intercooler pulled off, and then I will give you guys another update and we'll inspect this intercooler and make sure everything's a-okay for dude that's buying it. So y'all give me a minute, let me get this off here and I'll give you guys another update. Alright you guys, so I got the lower intake manifold off, or the intercooler off of the lower intake manifold. There we go. God, look at the coolant O-rings. They're just like full of RTV. The O-ring look like they got destroyed. That's crazy. Yeah, I'll have to clean all this up. But I mean, the intercooler itself, it looks great. It sealed really well where I had the RTV all around this passage. So, I mean, I'm not seeing any issues with it. I didn't see anything where it looked like it had been leaking. I mean, I know on the 07, I didn't RTV them down the first time, and it had a really bad problem with it leaking around here from the coolant elbows and it leaking. But I didn't really seem to have that problem on this one. Like, the gaskets were still pretty dry. I mean, like, they're not like fully soaked in like they were on the 07. But I don't know, I guess the only way to really run these is just RTV with no gaskets. I'm guessing that would be the best way. So, but I've already taken some pictures and sent to I think it said his name was Connor Johnson or something like that. But I've already taken some pictures of everything and sent to him. And so now he knows everything is off. Everything's almost ready to go. I just got to get some packing material. And I'm going to pack that intercooler separately from the rest of that stuff and get it all nice and secured. And then I might put it inside of one of those other boxes. But I'm happy. I'm making really good progress. So now I'll just have to clean this up really good. I'm not going to remove it because I don't have any more lower intake gaskets. And yeah, so I'm just going to get all this all cleaned up with the wire wheel more than likely. And then I'll get that new supercharger gasket opened up and get it on there. And then I can wire wheel the bottom side of the supercharger and then get it all mated back down. I'll probably have to clean out these coolant passages. But either way, we'll figure it out. So, but yeah, I just wanted to give y'all an update, let you know that really, like, the intercooler, like, really there wasn't any problems with it. I was thinking that maybe it was leaking like the 07, but it seems like it was fine. So it's got a brand spanking new core in it. I kind of dinged it up but it's a brand new core, so should be good to go. But yeah, I got the longer supercharger bolts in there that go with the intercooler, so that's everything I'm including. That's $600 sitting right there. So yeah, I'm gonna keep working on this thing. I'm gonna get this. Actually, I'm probably not even gonna do it right now. I'll put the supercharger back on after it's in the car, but I do want to get this cleaned up, so then once it's in the car I can just put it back together. And yeah, then I'm gonna have to get a shorter belt, because now there's no intercooler, so now I'm gonna have to have a shorter supercharger belt. But it's just about ready to start going back underneath the car. And then I still have to wire this speed sensor and run it back across and get it plugged in. So I'm going to finish getting everything done that I can for right now. And then I'll give you guys another update whenever it's just about ready to start going back underneath the car and really make some good progress. So y'all stay tuned, and I'll give you guys another update here shortly. Alright, you guys, so I just got the bottom of the supercharger all wire wheeled and cleaned up, got all the old gasket material and RTV off of it, went ahead and wire wheeled the lower intake, got everything cleaned off of it. Only thing I didn't get out was the coolant O-rings. And I mean, really, with having the throttle body adapter, they need to be blocked off anyways. So I think I'm just going to put a little bit more RTV on that and just call that good. Like, I mean, it doesn't go to anything. I think it just goes right there to those. But they just come over to the throttle body and it's blocked off. And this is all RTV too. So, yeah, I don't think I need those to be open. So I'm just going to leave that how it is. Ooh, big old chunk of RTV. But yeah, I think I'm just going to leave this how it is. And then just get the new gasket, set it on there, put the supercharger back on. And then the stock bolts are, I believe, over at the storage. So I did not bring the stock supercharger bolts because I'm a dumbass. I wasn't thinking about it. I was trying to remember to grab everything while I was over there, but it's alright, shit happens. But I'm making good progress on this thing, so this is pretty much all that's left, is get the supercharger back on and then start and get this thing pushed back up underneath the car. So y'all stay tuned. I'm going to keep working on this and I'll give you guys another update. Alright, you guys, so I went ahead and got the new gasket kit opened up. Got the new gasket set on there. Got the supercharger set in place. The supercharger was hitting the bracket on the fuel rail, so I had to use the pry bar and kind of bend the fuel rail a little bit, but still looks nice and solid. Now it fits in there. It's got a little bit of space between the fuel rail and the supercharger, but now the dowel pin lines up. All the holes are lining up, so now I've just got to go get the stock supercharger bolts from the storage, or they might even be in the trunk of the 07. But I know I have them somewhere. But yeah, so I'm gonna have to get those supercharger bolts so I can get those back in here, and they're all just a 10mm. And then get this torque down, which I can always get this torque down once it's back in the car. But man, making lots of progress. It's really coming back together now. So yeah, now I can go ahead and toss all these back over and get all that stuff hooked back up. I get my bracket. It's got to go under the fuel rail now to go back onto the supercharger right there. But yeah, I get that back on, get all my vacuum lines hooked back up, and boom, it'll be back together in no time at all. So y'all stay tuned. I'm going to keep working on this, getting all this put back together, and I'll give you guys another update. Alright, you guys, so I just got this piece. It goes from the wheel speed sensor, and it comes all the way over. It came to about here. Oh no, it came to here. I didn't have the sheathing all the way. Yeah, so that's all one wire all the way over to here. And I had another piece of an old harness in the trunk. I have a box of just a bunch of old pieces of harness. The original harness off this, the one I cut up when I tried to wire it myself, I have all of those pieces. And so this was actually off of that harness that I cut up. So I just took that whole piece of harness all the way over, and I'm splicing it in right here. And I'm going to electrical tape over this one and over this one, and then electrical tape it up. And I'm going to put some more sheathing over that till it goes right there to where that piece of harness is there, and get some more sheathing. And I have more pieces of sheathing right there, so I just gotta get these electrical taped and electrical tape that up, and then put the sheathing on, and then electrical tape up the sheathing, and then I'll probably zip tie it in a couple of spots down here to maybe to the sway bar, or just down there under the like to the subframe under the rack and pinion. But I mean, it's coming along really, really well. Everything's just going right back into place, and I'm really happy with it. So I'm going to keep working on this, trying to get everything done. I need to rehook up the starter because I didn't have to unhook that really. I need to run all the harness back across the front, get the AC compressor plugged in, and the knock sensor, that oil level sensor. It doesn't have a spot in the harness to go anywhere, so it's just not gonna plug in, because this harness had nothing back there for that. So yeah, I don't know what the deal is with this harness, why it didn't have it, but it does not have it. So no big deal to me. Like, if it would have had it, I was gonna wire it over up there to the front of the oil pan so that could plug in, but there was nothing on it. So like, that piece of harness I just took off, it had it, because here is the plug that was wired in with that, and it came off because normally it plugs in on, like, right there on the bottom side of the oil pan on the 3/4. But yeah, they're on this harness that Gage sent me, this 04 harness, there wasn't one. There's nothing there. It was literally just that speed sensor wire coming off. There was no other wire coming out. So that's why I just couldn't do anything with it. But it happens. It's just going to mean I'm not going to know if it's low on oil. But this can be my new race car. You know, I'm going to be checking the oil all the time. Probably changing the oil all the time, like I do with the 07 Pre. So, but man, I made a lot of progress. So I'm still going to have to go buy the storage to get the supercharger bolts. But other than that, like, it's damn near ready to go back underneath the car and start getting lowered down and put back together. I've just got to finish that right there, get that electrical taped and stuff and zip tied down, and then run those plugs and stuff along the front side of the engine. And shit, then we're good to go. We're good to start getting this thing put back in the car. So y'all stay tuned, and I'll give you guys another update here in just a bit. Alright, you guys, so I've been working on this thing, and as you guys can see, so I got the harness all taped up, got the sheathing on, got it zip tied over here to the sway bar, ran it underneath the rack and pinion all the way across, zip tied it down over here. It's in all the keepers, so it'll keep it out of the way, it'll keep it from hitting and rubbing on the axle. So this is about where it's going to be at. And then, yeah, these aren't tight because I still need to get in alignment. But, I mean, overall, everything's coming together really good. Everything's tucked out of the way and zip tied. This is going to be all up here and going over. That plug goes to the brake master cylinder, and then all this goes to the firewall and in the cab. And then all this goes in the cab, and all this wraps around the front, and all that goes down to the starter and the AC compressor and the knock sensor, and that's for the ABS pump. And yeah, and then I got this little bit of automatic transmission shit, and that just dangles in the front there. But yeah, so I just need to finish getting all that stuff ran, and then I also have this speed sensor. And so it runs down here along the inside of the mount on the subframe, and then comes back through over here down this control arm and plugs in right there. So I need to get that ran over here and just kind of start getting all this stuff hooked back up. and get this thing ready to slide back under there. So, and then I looked through all the stuff here. I looked through the trunk of the 07. I could not find the stock supercharger bolts. So I'm going to look through the shed. I have 2 or 3 totes in there full of shit. So they might be in one of those totes in there. So once I get all this wiring stuff finished and all situated and I'm happy with it for now, then I will go through the shed, try to find those bolts so I can go ahead and get the supercharger bolts in and get it torqued down, and that way it's just one less thing I have to do. But man, I'm making really good progress. It's starting to get really humid out here, so I'm sweating my ass off, but I'm trying to push through it and just get this done. But yeah, it's looking really, really good. So y'all stay tuned, and I'll give you guys another update here shortly. Oh, here it is, guys. Here's the radiator. Oh, I'm excited. Bam. All right, guys. So FedEx just dropped off the new radiator. So me and David just got her opened up. Man, look at that thing. Dude, for $135 shipped, really cannot complain. Look at that thing. That's what, like 2 inches thick? And it's still got enough space for the fans to clear. So I don't even have to trim the fans like I thought I was going to have to. I'll probably have to widen that a little bit. It looks like it's welded on crooked.
A little crooked.
But this side looks fine. But
all
man,
the welds look decent. I don't see any holes or
dude,
cracks.
this thing looks super clean. And it's got a nice metal drain plug instead of a plastic one.
All the fins survive shipping well.
Yeah, this thing is
The packaging
nice.
was really nice.
This thing is nice. I'm excited. So I'm ready to get the radiator fans and the AC condenser on this just to see what the whole assembly looks like. And it's like perfect timing because this thing's pretty much about ready to go back in the car. I just got to get supercharger bolts and put those in, and like pretty much everything. Oh shit. But yeah, pretty much everything is done. I've got all the wire harness ran along the front side of the engine over here. I just need to zip tie this up and zip tie it to where it's not going to be on the exhaust, and probably electrical tape those AC compressor wires. But I mean, right now I could drop the body down and keep that brake line, and then once it got down here it would tuck down on the inside of the subframe. See, there's some little clips on the subframe, and that's what that brake line clips into. And then there's a couple more. There's one right here, and then one right over here somewhere on the down on the inside. But yeah, this thing it's pretty much ready to go back in the car. So minus some belts and supercharger bolts, it's pretty much ready to go back in. So it's perfect timing. This thing's coming together so fast. I thought this was going to take forever, but I guess once you've done it once, then it's much easier to do it again. So at least now I've kind of got the hang of it and kind of know what I'm doing. So, but man, dude, this radiator for 135 bucks shipped to my door, really can't complain. That's stupid cheap, and it actually looks like pretty good quality too. And in the picture it showed that it didn't even have these for the stock cooler lines. It showed that they were AN fitting, and so I was like, well, that's cool. So I could still run the trans cooler through this first and then through an external cooler. But this is an automatic, so I didn't need it anyways. But it's cool that it does have it, so you could just pop your stock lines right in there and it would just work. That's pretty awesome. So, but yeah, I'm gonna, I guess, keep working on this. Actually, I want to grab this AC condenser and the radiator fans, and I want to test fit those on that new radiator and see how everything's gonna fit on that. And then once I'll give you all an update then, and then after that I'll start working on getting this pushed back under the car. So I'm gonna grab all this stuff off the table and bring it over here, and I'll give you guys another update. Alright, you guys, so we got the AC condenser slid right into place. Both the bolts went in, tightened down, fits beautiful. The only thing is there's a spot here for this to bolt to, but there's no threads. But I mean, it spaces it out away from the radiator really nice. The fans damn near just fit perfect. They're like super flush fit. Like, this was nice. The only complaint was I had to bend the tabs out some to get the fans to slide down in there. And they don't like clip into place. But I'm going to try to squeeze that back together with some pliers around these little notches. And then if I can get some pliers in there, then I'll try to do this side as well, just to try to hold it a little bit better. But both the bottom ones just slid right down into place. No problem. Holds it great. Fits great. Like, that thing is nice. And so then all that's left is just the hose, and then that goes up to the overflow tank. And that's the whole radiator and fans and AC condenser. So that's now ready to go back into the car after the engine and trans and everything's bolted back up. So this has just been an awesome weekend full of a lot of progress. But yeah, if any of y'all have a Grand Am, a V6 Grand Am, definitely get on eBay. This was like, what, Alloy Works, I think was the name of the company.
Yeah.
And it was like $124.99 plus tax with free shipping. And it was like $135 and some change out the door shipped. And it, like, shit, that was what, like 5-6 days ago, and it's already here. And that thing is nice. Had absolutely zero damage. Like, very, very happy with this thing. So yeah, this thing is gorgeous. I love it. So, I guess next thing, I gotta move some tools around, and I'm gonna start getting this thing wheeled back underneath the car. I'm gonna have to raise the car up higher. But, man, this has been a really productive day today so far. So, let's see how much progress we can make today. And I'll give you guys another update here shortly. Alright, you guys, so after I finished getting all this together, I went ahead and I got my hose on, got the hose clamp on. That's ready to go back in the car. And so I've been messaging back and forth with the guy who bought the intercooler and the heat exchanger and the pump and everything. And so this is the box that the radiator just came in. And I was able to use all the padding and packaging material and the plastic and everything that came with this, plus some paper packaging material that I got from ZZP stuff, and then also some packing peanuts that I got from other stuff I've purchased. And I've got everything packaged and in this one box that this radiator came in, and everything is actually packaged really well, so I'm pretty sure nothing will get damaged as long as it doesn't get thrown around. But yeah, he's paid for everything, and so I told him I would get it packaged up, and I'll go get it shipped out tomorrow because I'm working on this today. But man, everything's actually going really good, so I'm really happy with the progress. And I mean, it sucks that I'm having to sell the intercooler and the heat exchanger, but it's alright. I've got this will be fine, it'll work. So the only other thing I need to do is I need to put the main belt on, just so I don't have to do it once it's in the car. It's easier to do out of the car. And then after I get the main belt on, I'll have to wait to do the supercharger belt, because it's going to have to be a smaller belt, because the one that I have is it's too long because it's for the intercooler. So actually, I probably should have gave him the belt also, but I didn't think about it, and it's already taped up. So, but yeah, I made a lot of progress today. So I think now I'm just going to get the main belt put on, and then I'll be ready to start wheeling her back under here. So y'all give me a few, and I'll give you guys another update. Alright, y'all, so I finished with all my wiring. I went ahead and added some sheathing around this and electrical tape to the ends. I got it zip tied up. I actually fixed this bracket right here and put a new clamp on it because the old one was broke, and then was able to clip the that part of the harness in place, and then I zip tied it here and here. And yeah, then I've already got the front mount on and snaked the wires in between the mount and the trans how they need to go. And so I just gotta get the positive battery terminal, and one side goes on here and the other side goes up to the battery and then to the fuse box. And then the ground wire, it also snakes through here, and I think it just goes onto that bell housing bolt where that ground pack goes, and then yeah, up to the body and then to the battery, and that's it. Like, this whole front harness is almost done, so this is pretty much ready to go back underneath the car, and I can start lowering the body back down and snaking that brake line down around the front. And then once I get the body down low enough and this up high enough, then I'll be able to tuck that brake line in, and it'll be sitting in its place. And then I can finish putting on the front transmission mount to there and go ahead and get the battery cables all hooked up and start getting the subframe bolted back in place. And then it's gravy from there. And then I went ahead and got the main belt put back on, because like I said, it's much easier to do outside of the car than it is in the car. And yeah, so the only other option I have with the supercharger belt is I might be able to change this pulley to a bigger size pulley like this one, because I have another one in the front seat of the 07 front floorboard. So I'm going to try changing the tensioner pulley to this size, and I might be able to make that other supercharger belt work, but I'm not for sure. So I don't know, we'll see. But yeah, y'all stay tuned and I'll give you guys another update. Alright, you guys, everything is back under the car. I've got all the rest of my harness done. This goes right to the ABS pump right there. Once this bracket bolts down right here, then that just flips up and goes boom, right in. I got my wheel speed sensor ran over here. I just need to get some of those little plastic clips. It only has that one right there. The one right there is broken, so I need to get one for right there, and then at least two for the lower control arm. But yeah, that's it. It's fucking ready to go. And then only thing else is just tucking that harness up like that, so it's out of the way. And then all that that whole thing right there will set down right there. The brake line will all snake right under, and all the way around it'll sit right inside the subframe and that clip there and this clip over here. And then I think there's one more clip over there. But yeah, and then it pops out over on that side. And then once I get the brake line all set back in place, then I can put my AC lines back in over there and get my washer tank and everything back in and get all that hooked back up. And yeah, and then from there it's like just easy going, real simple stuff from there. So, but man, I'm really happy with the progress that I made over the last couple of days, 2-3 days. So yeah, like, it's only been a week since I brought this thing home from storage, and like now it should drive, and it was so much more comfortable. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's still hot here, it's still super humid right now, but during the daytime it would be like 120, 130 in the storage, or hotter sometimes, depending on how hot it is. It was like 90, felt like 100, and I think it said 102 today. So like, if I would have been at the storage, it would have been feeling like 120, 130 in there real easy. And being here, like, I don't know, it felt like 90 or so all day, but now it's just super humid. So it's alright, but I mean, it's much more comfortable. I think I'm getting a lot more stuff done working on it here under the carport than I would be at the storage. And plus I have the cherry picker here. I'm not using just a chain hoist and trying to be super careful about the red iron and not breaking anything and the car falling. So here I've got the cherry picker. I trust this thing. It's hooked on there really well, so I don't think it's going to go anywhere. But yeah, I've kind of got this lined up pretty straight to where it needs to be. Might need to come over just a tad more, but I'm hitting on the cherry picker leg down there. yeah, I guess I'm going to start lowering this baby down and try to make sure that nothing hits anything. And yeah, so y'all stay tuned and I'll give you guys another update. Alright, you guys, so everything is back underneath the car. I broke the rolly cart trying to push it back under because the wheels got stuck in the crack. But everything seems pretty lined up. And it's looking like everything is going to work really, really well. So, you've seen I got the belt back on. All the wiring stuff is done. All I need is just a few plastic clips for this speed sensor wire. And it's pretty much done. Oop, my phone's dying. And then I've got the brand new radiator and fans and everything over here. And I'm really debating on buying a brand new AC condenser now that I got paid for the intercooler and everything, and I've got it all boxed up. So now that I have some money, I was kind of debating on spending the $86 and buying a brand new one just so it can all be brand new. And that way I don't have to worry about having any issues or this thing leaking or something because it's cracked. I don't know. I haven't had, this car's been in storage for 4 years. The original stock radiator with that AC condenser and fans had been moved around and moved around and moved around. So, I mean, there could be an issue with it. I don't think there is, but there could be. So, that's just, it's a gamble right now. And I'd hate to go, get a vacuum pump and the lines to charge the AC and vacuum it, and then it have a crack, and then just be holding me up even longer. I'd rather just get a brand new one, bolt it in, everything can be new, and I'll just know that it'll work. And then on the lines over here, I actually cleaned this up earlier to put that JB weld on, and it's actually not even cracked. It just it left a little shiny spot in all that grease and dirt, but it's actually, if you look at the aluminum, it's not cracked. It's still fully sealed all the way around. So that's good news. So it'll still bolt on and it shouldn't leak. It's just going to be getting all this to raise up to the top side of the radiator up here once it's bolted on. That's going to be the hard part about it. But either way, not that big of a deal. I'm going to quit rambling on and start lowering the body of the car down and start getting this this subframe and engine and everything set back up, or set back in, get it bolted back in. And then I'm still waiting for the mount, the engine mount. Gage did message me earlier, and he said they got his guy that makes the mounts messaged him and said he's almost done with it. He should be done with it by tonight. And so I don't know if he's gonna, I don't know if he's local to Gage, or if he has to ship it to him, or what, or if he's just gonna have him ship it straight to me. I don't know. But so hopefully here within the next week I should have the engine mount, and then I can actually drill the holes and get it on there. I might not even drill holes. I might just have Garrett just completely weld it on, and then that way I don't even have to worry about it. And because I'm pretty sure to drill the holes, we'd either have to do it from the bottom, or I'd have to pull the motor and transmission back off, and I'm really not trying to do that. So I might just have him weld it and just call that good and call it done. So, but for right now, I'm going to go ahead and start lowering the car back down onto the subframe, and I'll give you guys another update here shortly. Alright guys, so it's getting really close. Been lowering the body down. The body needs to go over towards the driver's side just a little bit. Come a little bit closer over here. And give us a little more space over here for these brake lines. We've got the body of the car sitting on the big jack stands. And I've got the subframe sitting on 4 jack stands. And I've got both of the strut bolts are in. But my phone's dying, so I'm going to have to go throw it on the charger. It's at 3%. So I'm going to go throw my phone on the charger, probably take a break in the AC and cool off for a little bit, and I'll give you guys another update here shortly. You guys, well, I put my other phone on the charger. It was at 3%. So hopefully the audio is okay on this phone. This is my new phone. But yeah, so I've got everything is sitting on jack stands right now. It's super close, but the subframe still needs to go back about, I don't know, about a good inch and a little bit over towards the passenger side. But I mean, everything is right in line where it needs to go. I've already got the strut bolts in on both sides. I've got the brake line bolted up on this side. It's not bolted up on that side yet. I have to lift the oil pan to let the brake line go underneath that mount bracket, and so it will sit on the inside of the subframe over there, and then that will let the line like that, the bracket, go up and bolt into place, and it'll let everything line up. And then I've already got the front mount in, so I just need to jack up on the transmission a little bit, and then I'll be able to put the bolt in. And shit, I mean, it's super close to fucking going in and being in place and back together. And then I've already started working on getting the steering hooked up. The steering linkage is right there. I just need to turn the wheel a little bit more, and I need to come down just a little bit more. So, but I'm probably going to have to use the cherry picker and hook it back up to lift the body up so I can remove the very rear jack stands back there that's holding up the body. And so I'm going to have to jack it up, pull those jack stands, and then lower it back down, and then probably move those wood blocks and let it roll forward just a tiny little bit, just so we can kind of get everything lined up, and yeah, and go from there. So y'all stay tuned, and I will give you guys another update. Alright, you guys, so made a bunch of progress. So we've got both of the front subframe bolts are up in place and tight. And then this side, it went right in, no problem. And there was only one little 15 bolt on this side instead of two. So, but this side all went right in, no problem. Then on this side over here, it wanted to fight me and be a fucking bitch. This side. But after like an hour of finagling, we finally got it. Those two lined up. I still got to tighten it all down. And then we used the jacked up the oil pan a little bit. And I put a hockey puck in here just to hold it up to represent the engine mount and where the engine mount would be. But man, everything's looking really good. We've got both of the strut bolts in. I've just got to remove the caliper bolts, slide it on, and put the caliper bolts back in, and that'll be both the brake calipers. I gotta fully tighten up all the bolts for the lines and everything, but it's all ran on the inside of the subframe. I just need to get it in its clamps all the way, and then we'll be 100% good. But I mean, look at this. We got nice fucking clearance over here for all our stuff between the frame rail and the pulleys. So everything's actually turning out to be really good. So one of the main things I have left to do is just I've got to get the shifter cables ran back down and get them clipped back into my bracket down here. But I can always do that afterwards. And then as I'm tightening up this rear down here or back here, I have to hook up the steering linkage right there to the rack and pinion and get the bolt in, which is in that little orange pill bottle with the socket for the bolt and some of the washers and stuff and bolts for the clutch master cylinder where it bolts to the firewall. So this is what I'm doing right now. I've got to get this shifter link, or not shifter linkage, the steering linkage hooked up and get that bolted in and get that boot pushed in place. And yeah, then after that I can fully tighten down both of the rear subframe bolts and get it all the way up into place. And then it's literally just hooking everything up. Like it's come a long way today. I've made so much progress. So yeah, I'm really happy with how everything's going. So shit, y'all stay tuned, and I'll give you guys another update here shortly. Alright, you guys, so I've got everything picked up. It's about to start raining. It's been lightning and everything for a good 30 minutes now. And we've got rain on the radar. But, so I made a shit ton of progress on the Grand Dam swap. I still have to do the shifter linkage and finish up the subframe bolts back here. But I decided to call it a night. And I'm going to do all that tomorrow. So, that's going to be it for this video. It's already going on 2 hours long. So, if you guys like the video, leave me a thumbs up. Leave me a comment down below. Share the videos with your friends and family. And hit the subscribe button so you don't miss out on any future videos. And to continue seeing part 2 of getting this thing all back together. And finish getting all the lines installed. And bleeding the clutch. And making sure everything works properly. And then getting the computer back from Daniel Smuts and doing a startup and making sure everything works properly. And then I've also got to pull the center console and do a rebuild on the shifter. So I've got a whole shifter rebuild kit to get that done. And then hook up the shifter lines. And yeah, man, it should be good to go. So make sure to hit that thumbs up. And leave me a comment and hit the subscribe button. And I'll catch you guys in the next one.